Hi, St. Lucia. It's a whole new year and it's a whole new season of Crossroads, of course. And we're back. My name is Tristan Richard.
And I am, as always, your co-host, Kareem Nelson. Sorry if I'm a bit nervous. It's a new season, a lot of expectations to meet up to. We're coming off, I would say, a phenomenal first season. We had so many great guests, and we want to continue that with this new second season. But as I said, it's a new season, so we're coming in for a bit of new style, new flavor, new energy.
Right.
And as I said, we want to continue bringing it on, like, you know, those youth, those hidden gems, and really showcasing them and showcasing what they do.
Definitely.
So as I said, new style. We have a brand new IG page at Crossroads SLU. On that page, you'll find all our content, behind the scenes, everything. And also, we do have a nomination form where the audience can give in their suggestions of young people they feel are doing great things, so they can join us on the show.
Absolutely. This season we want to hear from you. Who in your community should be our next guest on Crossroads and have this chance, this opportunity to get a limelight shown on them.
Right. But as it's the second season, we wanted to start off in a big way. So we have a phenomenal woman in our presence here this evening. So I'll just give you a couple minutes just to introduce yourself, introduce yourself to the public and everyone listening.
Well, first of all, good night, St. Lucia, and thank you guys for that lovely introduction, by the way. You both look lovely, and this is a wonderful initiative. My name is Amy Stephen, coming from the lovely village of Ancillary, a visual artist. I'd actually like to describe myself as a multi-potentialite, but I'm sure as we go into the conversation, we can talk more about that.
No
Yeah.
Definitely. Getting to know more about Amy. Of course, we have to say it over and over again. She's from the community of Ancillary, and that's just something to you need to be proud of your community. So definitely we have an artist from Ancillary here, but just getting to know the multi-dimensional Amy, because I have a little secret that I want to get out. You know, first, Miss Amy Stephen was the National Carnival Queen for 2013. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah,
it's
it's been 10 years, 10 years ago, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it's been 10 years already. I was 19 at the time. I pursued Carnival Queen for two very big reasons. One of them being that I had met some of the women who had gone through and who were successful, and I knew them personally, and some of them I just had interactions with, and I was inspired by that. And the second reason is I also just, from a very tender age, felt the need to be an ambassador to my community, and I needed to secure a scholarship. And
that's the main reason.
Yeah, that was a very good reason, a very good incentive to get it, because the first time I went to apply for the scholarship, you know, I know this might be sad to say, but I felt like where I came from played a very significant role in me not getting it. And I literally needed them to know my name before they knew where I was from, unfortunately. And so I embarked on the journey with the hopes that I could be successful and make my community proud, as well as my family, of course.
And I know you did. Usually, you know, it does shine a light and give a platform to young girls in St. Lucia. So I'm really glad that you went
through it.
Yes, I
so
have.
You know,
I know. And you know, another dimension of yourself is that you are into theater, and I know some of your students might be watching.
Oh yeah.
So what's that part of you, the Amy that's into drama?
Okay, so this is where the multi-potentialite thing comes in, right? It's a term that I came across from listening to this singer, as she describes herself as a multi-potentialite, which basically, for anyone who does not know what that is somebody who has different passions, different abilities, and different various skill sets that they are willing to engage in and really explore. And that's how I see myself. I don't necessarily fit into one set field. So I had an introduction to theater through Mrs. de Turville, Petronella de Turville. Anybody who has been in youth development at all would know the name. She's passed, and she had a very strong influence on me and many young people in Ancillary, some of which have gone on to do very amazing things, like join the Royal Police Band. We actually have more than 5 young men and women who are part of the police band, which is like a fun fact I love to say about Ancillary. But yeah, I got into theater, and music, played a number of instruments, I love singing, I love painting,
Sweet.
yeah.
Now before we,
Yeah, I was saying, like, before we pull back too many layers, I just wanted to focus on the Carnival Queen aspect just a little bit, because I think you mentioned there was this certain stigma around the time when you went up, that you being from Ancillary. Well, you must imagine those people who were doubting you and casting those kind of aspersions, because you actually won. So just speak about that journey, like that? Going through that process and then to ultimately come out of that victorious.
Well, a background, a little bit of answer to put the stigma, for the lack of a better word, which might come. Answer is a very beautiful community, of course, with a lot of issues, but a lot of beautiful things about it, including the people. Part of the challenge is that we just don't have access to resources, like, you know, like as a lot of communities in St. Lucia, and with programs like this, hopefully we can shine a light to just on some of the fantastic work that is happening and continue to build our human resource. I don't think these people necessarily set out intentionally to do so, but it was something that was very striking, and instead of being discouraged by a circumstance, I just happened to turn it into fuel to be of service to other young people, because then if I probably did it just thinking about me, I probably wouldn't do it, because I would get afraid, I would get scared, especially with how I was raised, very Catholic. And you know, my mom, I told nobody. My mom did not know, my dad did not know, nobody in my family knew I was going to do Carnival Queen. I did not have a dress. I just went to some of my friends who I looked at the pictures on Facebook, who had nice prom dresses. I was like, can I borrow your dress, please? And they were gracious enough to let me use their dress. And I went to the audition, and just very few people knew, like some of my close friends. And after I got through, that's when I told my mom, and he was like, well, I'm in this deep already. And, you know, it became a very exciting journey with some other challenges, but I think altogether it became I enjoyed that my community just celebrated it as well. It felt like the crown was just something for ancillary, you know?
It's giving ambitious, Amy. I love it.
Oh, thank you, Krista.
So I know typically with the pageant itself on the day, it's a lot of glitz, a lot of glamour on the day itself. But what a lot of people don't see is the work that goes into it, those checks, those model runs, all these kind of things. So can you just speak about that and going through that process, not losing your mind through that process? Because I know some people tend to.
I know, it was absolutely, I would say, there were definitely occasions like everybody else where you go through a period of self-doubt and you have to work past that. It's not anything I'd really done before on that scale. So I got the help of people like Roxanne DJ and Onika McCoy, who had gone through the process and were gracious enough to assist me with the modeling. I'd never been modeling like that before. And so they were kind enough to assist me. I work with people like Jerry George, where I practice, just speaking and getting comfortable with expressing myself. I would say what really helped me was falling in love with becoming and challenging myself in a way where I was not necessarily preoccupied with what will people think if I do this, because it's something I had to deal with from the very beginning, family with my own family, right? Not that they would discourage me necessarily, but because of, like I said, the Catholic Christian background. So, and of course, I'm not necessarily a glitz and glam person in the typical or the traditional way of what that is, or the classical way of looking at that. I do like dressing up, of course, but the pressure of necessarily always having to look a particular way, talk a particular way, that didn't go very well with me. So that was a challenge that I did not give into. But yeah, that was it for me.
Okay.
Krista, you started this conversation on a really high level. And I want to speak to you more, but boy, we have to take a break. We have to take a short break now. So when we get back, obviously, the audience might have seen the paintings and whatnot. So when we get back from break, we'll delve into more of the artistic side of Amy. So we'll be back in a minute.
See you.
Oi, boss. No, sorry. Excuse me, boss. Can I please be excused to go pay my driver's license?
Okay, I have to do mine as well. I'll do it later.
Okay, I'll see you on the line.
This is Edgar. He's going on the line. This is Caleb. Caleb does not go on the line. He takes care of his transactions online. Caleb uses the DigiGov platform. With DigiGov, he can access and pay for government services using a computer, tablet, or mobile device. DigiGov allows you to apply for and renew your driver's and vehicle permits, submit registrations, and pay fees at various other government agencies. Simply get online and sign up for a DigiGov account today.
Sorry I took so long, boss. Traffic was hectic, line was long. You'll not make it today?
Make it? I'm done. Come.
Don't be like Edgar, be like Caleb. Take back your time, get off the line, and get online with DigiGov, serving people and businesses with that island love.
Welcome back, guys. I hope the wait wasn't too long. I know you guys are excited to hear more about Amy. So we're here with fun. And before we went on break, I had spoke about or I had alluded to her paintings. So I just want to speak about, that artistic side of you. Where did that really come from? How did you get into it? And, how did we get here?
Okay, so this is another fun part of me just living life, like on its basic level. I did not know I could paint like this. Every time I say this, people are like shocked, but it started off with an appreciation for art. I love everything that is artistic. And I started off just really doodling. I didn't think I could do it. I just doodled. And it became something where I was actually helping my brother to do like a makeover of his room. So painting the walls. And when I was done, I was like, maybe a piece of art could go there. Yeah. So I challenged myself to do something with a palette knife. And I showed it to my mom, and she was like, this is really good. You should keep doing it. And it became me just honestly just exploring and allowing myself the opportunities to make mistakes and not necessarily pieces that were aesthetically pleasing to the eye, but it was more of a fun endeavor. So for anybody who's contemplating, getting into visual arts, I would say just really and truly have fun with it. It's what worked for me, at least.
Yeah. How old were you when you started that? The day your brother said, "Don't do magic on my wall."
I would say officially with this form, it's been just a few months.
Wow.
I'd been just a few months, and I had been painting quite casually, just at home for my own enjoyment, which took off a lot of the pressure.
That's important.
So I did it for my own enjoyment, and my family just really encouraged me to just keep at it, and it's become a business now.
Oh, business.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So something you started a few months ago has become a business.
Yeah. That's what happens when you have a good support system.
That's right.
It's very important.
But what was that shift in mentality like from something casual to thinking more entrepreneurial and making it a
That's
business?
when the pressure got in a little bit.
The pressure's getting worse.
Yeah, because whenever you start adding money to things, I'm like, well, how do I even price this? I'm not even sure what price to put on a painting. Like,
Right.
everything was just very novel and very new. And I had friends who also saw the value in or had an appreciation for the art, I should say, and started buying some of these pieces. So at least the one right in front of you, Kareem, and this one right here actually belongs to a very good friend of mine. And he allowed me to just use it tonight.
Kareem holds that properly.
Yeah,
That is on loan.
boy, I'm feeling expensive. But you said you only started a few months ago, and this is very abstract.
It is.
So can you tell me what's the story here, man?
Yes.
Okay, well, in Ancillary, I live very close to the dock, where I am fortunate and very lucky to see the sunset every day. So that is a motif that actually goes through all of the pieces. So I just paid homage to that, and of course seeing the boats on the water, and I wanted to express that in my own unique way.
Yeah.
And so that's what became of it.
At that time, did you know that this lovely piece was going to belong to someone else, or were you just in the motion?
I was just in the motion.
Oh my gosh.
I was just in
You
the
would have had
motion.
that hung at your home for no one to see?
No one
Oh
to
my
see.
goodness.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
sorry that I am.
Oh, don't you dare.
Too intrigued.
Yeah.
It's okay.
By your paintings, yet another abstract.
Yeah.
Check.
Like very abstract actually.
Yeah.
So
Tell Tell us more about this one.
So this one has a very fun story. I actually, so it was my way of showing gratitude to some lovely sailors that I met, and they were just in the community, and my brother and I were actually on the dock, and he was helping me take pictures of the art and with me in the art, and they saw me, and then they came close to my house, sat on the step, and my mom started speaking with them, and they just wanted to buy a piece from seeing me on the dock and taking pictures. And they were just lovely people. They took me to dinner. We had a very fantastic chat, and I love meeting new people. And I painted this piece as a way of saying thank you to them wherever, the art is and they are in the world. So that was just my way of saying thank you.
Yes, I believe some of the most important parts of life are the spontaneously beautiful moments.
Yeah.
You never knew that those people would have been there. No. You never knew you would have been an artist. That's so...
I love
You're inspiring people. Oh my goodness.
Krista, thank you. I just love the serendipity of it all, and for me, art became also just very healing. There are many things in the world that will threaten our internal peace, our mental and emotional peace ever so often if we are not careful. And of course, ever so often, like everybody else, I'm not always this bubbly and cheery and happy and positive. I do have days where, I try to figure it out. Like every young person, especially trying to navigate through sometimes the lack of opportunities that we have, especially being an artist and the love of arts that I have, and not recognizing that there are many opportunities, such as this, for example. So this just became a part of my healing and a wonderful creative outlet for me. So,
I mean, you said it helps with healing. So is it? And what kind of setting do you do those paintings? I know you mentioned the sailor story, and this one was when you look outside your home. But is it maybe when you're down that you feel expressive, you want to paint, or what kind of mode do you get into to kind of draw inspiration to paint and whatnot?
So I am very particular with what mood I am in when I paint, just because, especially now, because it's become a business, I'm very much inspired by, okay, when people see this art, what feelings would I like to convey? Do I want them, when they look at it, to feel happy, to inspire the childlike nature in them, where they can create a story around it. So I don't necessarily paint when I'm down. I allow myself to work through it and really make it an act of love and of sharing and of service to other people, and that's what keeps me going and keeps me being consistent. Because if I really think about it as a job and the angst of that, then it becomes laborsome, it becomes cumbersome for me, at least. So it has to be fun for me.
Surely, and that's what happens with a lot of people that mix passion and business. Right now we want to underline your business. Where can we find you on Instagram? And we want to delve a little bit more into that.
Okay, so on Instagram it's Amy Chan 46, Amy Chan, because I met some friends from Japan who gave me this very affectionate name. So it's like with young girls, they put a Chan, so you'd be Krista Chan, and you would be Karim's son. So they do that.
We change it now. I think so.
I just thought it was really cool. I love culture too, so I just kept it.
I'll have to get used to that one.
It sounds cool. Krista Chan.
Okay, I'm going by that from now on. For business, for your business specifically, is it that right now it's what you paint, or do people send in recommendations? What is it?
I am willing to listen to what inspires people as well. But because, like I said, it's a very new experience for me, and I'm also still learning. I've gotten a little past the learning curve, but I still am very curious in terms of what I can do. I am not necessarily right now inclined to doing, if somebody said, well, I want something very, very specific, because I just want to allow my creativity to be very, to be very organic and very,
So for St. Lucians who are interested in your art specifically, it's just to keep abreast to what you post on your Instagram. Do you still have some pieces that are up for sale on there?
Yeah, I do actually. Okay. I have maybe a few of the pieces there. I've not sold as yet. But yeah, if anybody wants to message me on Instagram or on Facebook, I'm available. I think everybody now has at least one social media platform. So yeah, that's where I market myself, and anybody who wants to access me can do that.
Okay.
But I know earlier you mentioned, the arts is one of the more difficult, I guess, markets to enter in terms of business, enterprise, etc.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you so far? And one may ask, why did you get into it? Because it's like you noted that it would be difficult. You mentioned lack of opportunities, etc. So why did you still feel compelled to go into that, and how has it been so far?
Well, I think that's a very, very good question. I think part of it is well, if every artist decides that they're not going to do something because of the lack of opportunities, or let's move arts for example, right? An engineer or anybody wants to be a doctor or a lawyer or go into any field, and if we continue to be defined by our environment and our circumstances, then you don't create your own path. So I'm going to create my own path, and I'm not necessarily focused on the outcome. Of course, I would like to get some degree of success through the art, not just for my sake, but for other young people who don't necessarily want to do science all the time, but maybe want to incorporate it into a piece, So that's primarily the reason why I decided to do it anyway.
And how has it been? Because I know, what has the reception been like? Because I mean, some people might watch a painting and be like, why are you asking me so much money for that and whatnot? So how has those kind of interactions been, that business kind of aspect, customer base, etc.?
Well, you do get those responses. And you do get people who say, well, they can appreciate it and they love it and they will talk to me about it, which is a very fun part of the business as well. Just to see how people react to the work, which is also validating for any artist. And sometimes when it comes down to money, which is like a big part of the conversation, sometimes people don't necessarily feel like it's a good use of their money, which is okay. And for me, it's a matter of finding your niche. And so I am looking to find my niche, and there are people who will find it quite important to purchase a piece of art, which is I'm one of these people. So
there are others.
I know there are others out there.
I'll do painting for my for my girl.
Start at $5,000 for free. Okay, so I want to delve into the future of Amy Stephen, specifically in art.
Okay.
And anything else we know about you?
So I do plan to have an exhibition at some point, where it will not just be my work that I want to feature, but I also want to feature people within the community who also I met this young lady, I think 2 days ago, where they do carvings in the calabash, and it's just phenomenal. And she's from Answer, and she does it with her husband. And they're, entrepreneurs. And so I want to just feature other up-and-coming artists within the community. I have not put a date to the exhibition as yet, but it's already in the making.
This year?
Yes, absolutely.
St. Lucia, it's happening this year. Look out for those ancillary, what's it called, citizens?
Yes, we can say that.
Okay.
But I know we're speaking about the art now, but also I know that you are someone who has a lot of talent, and earlier you
don't do that. Talent.
Boy. You noted that you were also a singer.
She is.
So let's talk about that.
How's
that going?
So I got into singing through, first of all, from my family and music from my family. My dad plays the guitar, my mom loves singing. I have an older brother who is into, my entire family. My younger brother is in the police band. So my love for music was definitely birthed from there. So I just love singing, and I started with Sicilian Race, which was a group which was organized by Mrs. Tillville. And I was lucky enough, and I say lucky because mentorship is very, very important. It's a lot of people might look at somebody who has different talents and be very tempted to say that there's something extraordinary about this person. when it's also just it also just highlights the importance of mentorship and guidance and having a good support system. And so I went on to Leon Hess Comprehensive Secondary School. I know you went to Leon Hess.
Yes, I did.
A school.
Hi, Mr. Lubon.
Yes.
Mr. LeBron himself there.
He's behind the scenes smiling at us.
Yeah. It was a school which really honestly encouraged myself and a lot of my friends and classmates to really express ourselves and to really be ourselves. I mean, I was part of the choir there as well. At one point, another young lady from Ansari, Shanice, directed the choir. I was in the choir, people like Kidel Soni, myself also directing as well. Even when after I left, he went on to direct the choir. So the school really encouraged academia, but also extracurricular activities, and it was fantastic for me. I had a blast at Leonis, honestly.
I mean, I haven't fact checked, but I've heard that it's the best school on the island.
I don't think I mean all respect to the
yeah,
you must defend your school.
It's a great school. It is. Of course, I'm biased because I had a wonderful experience there. But anybody who's considering having a child to have a very holistic experience, for me it was that, you know, and it really helped to foster my confidence and just encouraged individuality.
Right.
So yeah, it was good.
But can you just like maybe expound on how you, generally how you think the schools can play an integral role in kind of harnessing the talents of our young people? How it did for you and maybe some others, because well, depending on whichever school you go to, you might not be able to explore that aspect of yourself, or it may be not taken as seriously, maybe looked as a pastime and these sort of things. So I'm just speak about the role you think school can have.
Well, I think part of the reason why it works so well at Hess, to use Hess as an example, it was part of the culture of the school. So outside of the activities that happened on a national level, you know, I used to sing the school's anthem or the national anthem. Literally, the smallest opportunities that were available, we were encouraged to participate. And there were like things like Hesplosion, you know, so it's it has to be part of the school's culture and value system. Especially for school education for service, you know, schools have to recognize that we spend 5 years in an institution, and essentially we spend more time in the school than we sometimes do at home. It's where we form lifetime friendships, and you know, and we meet and come to discover ourselves and learn how to navigate the world and to find a voice. And so there is a bigger calling than just academia, and I think it also really just has to be part of the value system and create opportunities. They don't have to be, you know, mind-bending things. It's just simple activities like elocution, like I said, explosion, like allowing the kids to take responsibility for the assembly, be able to dance and express themselves and get the support from their peers. It goes a long way.
Yeah, and if there's any young person from Ancillary specifically, but in St. Lucia, who's interested in the arts or theater or going up for the pageant, we know that's coming up, or just multi-dimensional stuff, just fostering different creative aspects of themselves, what is your message to them?
I would say, go for it. I know that it's very simple. It's a very simple thing to say, go for it. And here's what I will say. I felt all of the emotions, like fear, doubt, worry, all of the things that we go through, anxiety, wondering if you're good enough, and all of these things are just part of the process. What I would say, what got me through it was, like I said, having a very good support system, but I developed and created mantras which helped me, like fear is false evidence appearing real. Some people know this one. And just remember, life is very short, you know, and we hear those things, but sometimes I'm not guaranteed this evening, neither any of you. I'm not guaranteed tomorrow, I'm not guaranteed next week. And I always just try to look at myself, outside myself, watching me live my life. And I have to then process, well, if I say I want to live a life that is fulfilled, what does that mean? How do I want to feel every day? And then it becomes a little easier to just go out and do it and just have fun. Have fun, and make yourself happy. You know, that's it. Sure. Forget about what anybody else has to say.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Amy, for coming. It's been fun. That's a word you use a lot throughout the conversation. So it's been fun. It's a pleasure having you. And hopefully as you progress along the journey, you can join us again.
I would love to.
Thank you for coming through. And I wish you the best.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. So right now, we're done speaking to Amy. We're going to catch up with what the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports has been doing through our Mids in Motion. So we join you to take a look into the ministry and see what they're doing. And then when we come back, we might have a new guest for you. So it's a really exciting person for you. So we'll be back.
Hi, and welcome to Mids in Motion. The Ministry of Youth Development and Sports kicked off 2023 with a solid foundation for managing sporting and youth development activities on the heels of a successfully hosted inter-secondary school sports towards the end of 2022. The ministry took a bold step in the new year by recognizing and providing developmental support to non-traditional sports by the hosting of its first ever alternative sports season. The move ensured sporting activities such as esports, autocross, sound clashes, and paintball received their forums for expression. The events drew large crowds and provided an impetus for the St. Lucia's sports tourism. While the cars' sound systems boomed, bikes rode, and cars drag raced, 36 young boxers from Beaufort and the VG Boxing Gyms showcased their newly acquired fight skills to an elite panel of observers.
I think boxing is in good hands. From what we've seen today, we have 36 boxers, all young boxers who never really fought on no regional or international level.
Minister for Sports, Honorable Kenson Kazime, committed the ministry's continued support for the sport of boxing.
The ministry continues to provide support through ensuring that there is a payment of a Cuban coach for the sport of boxing. And we're also seeing Conrad Fredericks continuing his local program. And so we're just looking to see how we can continue to identify talent.
In February, the ministry launched an initiative to address the persistent issue of unemployment with its new mobile app called Skills 758. The web-based mobile application pairs unemployed youth with potential employers to find job opportunities situated to match their skills and qualifications. The Skills 758 app can be downloaded from both the Apple and Android Play stores or accessed by logging into www.skill758.govt.lc. Long-standing diplomatic friends of St. Lucia, the Republic of China and Taiwan, made a significant donation of sporting equipment and supplies to the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports in the last 6 months. His Excellency Ambassador Peter Chen says the donation is an acknowledgement of the exploits of St. Lucia's young athletes.
These are not only just a generosity or benevolence from Taiwanese people and government, but also our acknowledgement of exemplary performances of St. Lucian athletes on the international stage.
After a 2-year hiatus, the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports hosted its National Sports Awards as part of St. Lucia's celebration of its 44 years independence. Here are the winners in each category. The next big event for the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports will be the newly rebranded inter-secondary school sports called Island Champs. For the first time, Island Champs will be held on the weekend and will be a family-oriented experience to ensure maximum participation and support from family, friends, schools and communities. The Ministry of Youth Development and Sports hopes to see you there in March. This has been Mids in Motion. See you next time.
Alright guys, we're back, and I'd just like to say, with every guest I tend to feel a little bit lesser about myself. I feel like I'm not doing enough with my life, but we have a very unique person with us this evening, a chess enthusiast, a chess ambassador by the name of Tristan Richard. She's also the president of the St. Lucia Chess Federation. Why? I know my thing. So, good evening, welcome. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. I always love when I get the opportunity to talk about chess because not a lot of persons know about chess. When the first thing persons think of when you say chess is smart nerds or a board game, but chess is so much more than just a board game. So it's a pleasure to be here.
Certainly. And yeah, before we get into all of the chess talk and say Lucia and the Federation, we want to know a little bit more about Tristan. So we want to pass the mic on to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. So as you mentioned before, I am the current president of the St. Lucia Chess Federation. I'm also a counselor on the FIDE Women's Commission. And so I'm not just involved in chess in St. Lucia, but also regionally and internationally as well. More along the lines of getting more women to be a part of chess and personally showing a black face, a female black face
representation matters
in the chess world. Of course, I'm Jamaican, but I tell persons I'm an honorary Lucian. Like Jamaica may add, but St. Lucia is my home. And of course, I started playing chess in high school, and from there, the passion just grew tremendously.
What brought you to St. Lucia? I mean, we welcome you. What brought you to St. Lucia?
Well, first I visited St. Lucia and I absolutely loved it here. I find that the people were so mannerable and I mean, take it, just most Jamaicans are on the aggressive side. let's put it that way.
Well, not our Jamaican audience. Our Jamaican audience are perfect. Fine.
Oh, absolutely. But I first fell in love with the people when I moved to St. Lucia, and I feel like St. Lucia is a country where once you're ambitious, once you're driven, you could create opportunities for yourself and grow and thrive in a beautiful society.
Enjoy get this hair flip.
But you mentioned getting into chess during high school. How does a young high school teen get into chess and fall in love with it? So how was that for you, and why was that your sport of choice?
So first of all, I started playing chess out of, I guess, some amount of vindication, for lack of a better term. I always wanted to play chess. You watch movies and you see rich, smart guys play, and I thought, that's quite a sophisticated game. I'd love to play someday. And so a schoolmate of mine taught me how to play the game. And after teaching me, he proceeded to beat me several times. Okay? Now,
did he brag?
He did.
Oh my God.
He had the audacity. Now, I'm a very competitive person, so I would not have it. And so I told myself, I'm not going to stop playing till I beat him. And out of that, I guess, push to beat him, I ended up falling in love with the game.
We love a good revenge story. To be very honest, we love it.
Certainly, yes. So of course I went on to playing chess in my high school. I even did it as an elective in college. I tell persons that's one of the easiest A's I've ever gotten in my life. But since I've really had a love for chess, and then after I moved to St. Lucia, I saw the room really for someone to come in and help to create more knowledge, more promotion of the game, to show that not just males play the sport, or not just a certain type of looking female that play the sport, but anyone, and as I always say, everyone really should play chess.
Truly, and you mentioned representation mattering, and I really do think so. I mean, I was following Tristan on Instagram before this. And there are movies that are coming out more and more. I remember it was Queen of Katwe and the Queen's Gambit, obviously. I know my stuff.
No, but that's great. And what that movie showed, and a lot of people don't believe this when I tell them, but say 50 years ago, 60 years ago, women weren't allowed to play chess, or at least when they did, it was a case of, like, why are you playing chess? You're a woman. You should be in the kitchen. It was actually said that women are too stupid to play chess. And a lot of persons still believe that women are too stupid to play chess, or a woman could not beat a man. And for me, I find that rather belittling. I do believe, of course, with men, when it comes to physical, of course, men are the clear champions.
I mean,
right, Kareem? So I'll give them that. But I do believe intellectually we're even. But the problem that women have had It's because we're taught that we're too stupid to play chess. We're taught that chess is not for women. And so we've had a slow start into getting into the sport. So that is why, even to this day, only 1%, well, not once, 10% rather, of persons who are in chess are women. So 1 out of 10. In the entire chess world, in leadership, whether it's playing, whether it's arbiter, only 1% are women.
So
and now you don't even want to imagine the percentage that are black.
Okay,
it's like
you're breaking those boundaries.
0.0%.
Women's History Month is
so this is
much.
something that pushes me. This is something that I thrive to improve and change. I want more women to get involved in chess, and I also want more women of color to get involved in chess.
So how does it feel to be a part of that 1%? How does it feel to be in that role and promoting chess?
It's awesome. We went to the Chess Olympiad in India last year, and I am one of only 10 female chess federation presidents in the world. And so just imagine being in a room with at the Chess Olympiad, over 188 countries attended. And so just imagine being in a room with over 188 people, and maybe like only a handful of those persons are women. It can be a bit intimidating, but also something of pride, something to feel, wow, look at this. I am representing this minority. I'm helping to inspire other women to go out and play chess or take up leadership position in the chess world. And so it feels great, actually.
Thank you for putting Lucia in that room.
Right.
Thank you.
And speaking about, you said you recognize that St. Lucia had the space, to get into chess. But how was that developing that sport in St. Lucia, taking people away from the more traditional ones like cricket, football, track? How has it been trying to develop in this sense, unconventional sport?
So chess has been around in St. Lucia for decades.
Right.
The problem is, well, we've not had a chess federation. So the chess federation got established in 2018. So prior to that, we had the efforts of the National Community Foundation. We had Rotary. We had the Peace Corps who were coming, and of course we had the Grandmasters Chess Club that has been around for a while. So it has been pockets of people and individual organizations that have been doing their best to help to push chess in communities, in the schools. But now with the now with the Chess Federation, we're able to have that representation regionally, internationally. We're able to better organize things and work along with different organizations to push chess, whether it is in the school, whether it is through our social chess program where we do chess in prisons. We have our Chess for All programs where we want to get chess parks out and about. So maybe at Serenity Park to have a nice chess table thereabout. We want to have competitions with different corporations. So maybe it is, Bank of St. Lucia against First Caribbean, that sort of stuff. And of course, even currently with our players, we have done really well. We're currently ranked 4th in the English-speaking Caribbean, believe it or not, and that's behind, I believe it's Barbados. So we're ahead of Guyana, we're ahead of the Bahamas, and they have had a chess federation for many years. So St. Lucia has so much potential, so much potential. I mean, from our Nobel laureates, we should know this, right? Yes. So we have so much potential. It's really just for someone to see that and to invest in that and support that is so important. So of course we're making strides. We had our national school chess championship where we had over 100 students participating, and I think that's a record ever for a chess tournament. So we're making strides little by little, and even opportunities like this to get to speak about chess is helping to push it forward. Of course, it's not an easy task, and we always like to ask for support for anyone who would like to really support the cause, whether it is financially, whether it is through human resources, because we can't do it on our own. And together we could make it even grander than it is.
Definitely we want to get into more of those programs, but something that is very noticeable if you actually look for it in St. Lucia is that chessboard sign in Bois de Ouage next to SNS that is just there for everybody to see. I'm not too sure if St. Lucia notices that. How did that come to being?
So what I found, and as I mentioned, chess has been around for a long time. So you have so many persons who actually know how to play chess, but they don't know that there's a St. Lucia Chess Federation. And I can understand because we got established in 2008 and then COVID happened. So that kind of stifled our momentum. So I wanted to capture anyone out there in St. Lucia who knew how to play chess. Because the only way you could solve that puzzle is if you knew how to play chess.
I didn't know that.
So it was like a little bait, you know? We throw the bait out and see.
Has it been working?
It has.
Okay.
It has been. We've had so many persons who have messaged us like, hey, I didn't know there's a chess federation. I play chess. Or so many persons who actually attempted to solve the puzzle, and it's been very helpful to help to promote chess and to help to let persons know that there is a chess federation.
So definitely look up from your window when you're passing Bois.
Someone tell me I need to put a new sign. Like someone call me, hey Tristan, you the sign looking a little worn. We need to put a new one. I'm like, yeah, sure. Would you like to pay?
That's right.
But no, it's been very positive.
That's good.
Right. So you've given us a very good intro into the world of chess. But for now, we're just going to take a short break. I know everyone wants to hear more about chess and probably see me get beaten in a game of chess. But so we'll just be taking a break now, and then we'll get back to you very soon.
Let me tell you how I'm looking.
How much more time we have?
Are you looking to broaden your career opportunities? Future-proof your career with a bachelor's degree from the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. We've introduced new cutting-edge degree programs in environmental studies and sustainability, tourism and hospitality, business administration, and public health. Online platforms are making it easier than ever before to further your education and mask your competitive advantage. This is the game changer you've been waiting for. Get the highest return on your investment in the OECS from the college you trust. Visit salcc.edu.lc. Apply today for September 2021.
And we're back to the segment where I may be getting beaten in chess. But we're back with Tristan, and she began taking us through the chess world. And I just wanted to note something I felt that happened last year, I believe, which was really instrumental in my mind, that implementation of chess in the prisons. And I think not too long after that, they placed third at a regional competition. So could you just tell me about that program, getting the inmates involved, and also them placing high in that competition?
Yes. So for me, what drives me most in the chess world is using chess to create an impact or have a positive impact on society. Competition is nice, getting titles and becoming grandmasters and so on is nice, but when someone could say to me, Tristan, you changed my life because of so and so, or chess changed my life, or this great thing happened because of chess, that is what drives me the most. And so getting chess in the prisons was one of the goals that I'm like, listen, we need to get this happen. We need to make this happen, rather. And so they had the International Online Prison Chess Championship coming up, and I'm like, listen, I need to have St. Lucia participate in this. And so along with myself and Andy, and we spoke to the persons in the prisons. At first, persons were like, why teaching prisoners chess? Aren't you going to make them smarter? Yeah. But what chess does, and the beauty of chess, is that it's very similar to life. And it actually teach you to be better, adapt for life. Why? Because in chess, every move has a consequence. And the only way to win the game is to actually have a plan and to set steps in motion to be able to achieve that plan. That's the only way to win the game.
We love a good metaphor.
It's all about strategy. And it teaches that there's consequences for your actions. And after you make a bad move, it teaches you, okay, what could I do to prevent that bad move or that loss in the future? And so when it comes to our inmates, I think that is a lesson that they need to have. They need to understand that my actions have consequences. And now that I've made this bad decision, what could I do differently to prevent me from being in this position again? And studies have shown that the lessons that you learn in chess, they actually transcend into other areas of your life. And there are several studies that have shown that prisons that have a chess in prisons program, the inmates that participate, they actually have a lower return rate, which is amazing. And so I felt that getting chess in the prison was a must. And to be honest with you, when I first went, I was so intimidated. Oh my goodness. I was the only female walking into a prison loaded with males, and you can imagine the shouts from the side of the walls when I'm coming in. But when I came into that room, I don't know, persons have asked me, have you asked them like what they did? And I'm like, no, I don't care. And funny enough, they are so mannerable. They are so honest. And I'd like to share this example. One of the prisoners, there was the batteries out and about, and he actually took the batteries up and he's like, miss, here are your batteries, because other prisoners may take it or whatever. And that was so touching. I was like, wow, he could have taken the batteries, stuffed them in his pocket, and I wouldn't have known that he'd taken them. So it's good to know that people make mistakes. Okay, we all make mistakes. It just so happens that their mistake landed them where they were. But I could tell you, I've taught chess to a lot of persons, and they are the most enthusiastic persons I've ever taught chess. They were so into it. And I guess maybe when you're in person, all you have is time. Who knows? But they were so into it. They were so excited whenever we came. They were so eager to learn. And even with the competition, I mean, we started with them in May and the competition was in October. And for them to beat Trinidad, I mean, and it was I think they only missed out from moving on to the next round by 1 point. And this was just only after going there in May. It's
not only like 6 months?
That's what is even less than 6 months, because there were some instances where we couldn't get to make it. There's some instances we couldn't get to make it because of COVID and so on and so forth. But I know for a fact that has changed their life, and they're looking forward to the competition coming next year. So that's definitely one of my proudest moments.
Definitely, we want to get into some more, and that's a truly inspiring program and project, and we can hear the passion from your voice. We want to get into the future of those programs and what's happening right now. But I hear that it's time to beat Kareem clock. I mean, that's what I heard, I think.
I mean, unfortunately, St. Lucia, the game wouldn't make too much sense if I didn't know how to play. So instead of me getting beaten, I'm actually going to get a short lesson in the game to see how it's going to work. Because, I mean, I'm not embarrassing myself on national television, so if you can just, I'm not running away.
I'll give you a quick lesson.
Yeah,
I'll
no
give you a
problem.
quick lesson. So as I mentioned, the game is all about strategy. It's just like a game of war. You have two opposing teams, black versus white.
Not controversial.
It's slightly racist game because white always moves first. But the aim of the game is to capture the king. That's all
Capture the king?
Capture the king. You could capture the king.
I have no issues.
So anyway.
That's what you do, to capture the king. Now you capture the king by putting the king in a position where it's unable to move without being attacked. All right. Just like in a game of war, right? You capture the king, you win the war. And so the other men on the board, the bishop, knight, and rook, this main aim is to protect the king. All right, that's all they try to do. Protect the king and to capture the opponent's king. So for the whole game, that's what you're trying to do. Now, most persons think that the game of chess goes on for hours, but that's not true. You have games that are 1 minute, 30 seconds, all right? If you could capture the king in 2-3 moves, you win the game.
2-3 moves?
How are you doing that?
There's actually the fool's mate, that's about 2 moves, thereabouts. All right, so what I will do, I'll just teach you, I'll show you an example of checkmate.
No problem.
And I'll just, I'll tell you the name of the pieces and then you see if you could tell me. All right? So we have our rook or castle.
Yeah, that's a rook, castle.
The bishop. The knight, not a horse, not a donkey.
That's a knight,
Okay? Not a donkey. We have our pawns. We have our king, and he's always the one with a little cross on the top of his head, or the tallest piece on the chessboard. And then we have our queen. Right?
Queen, yeah.
Yes. Queen Dolores and King Edward. And so each of these pieces, they move differently.
Oh, sweet.
That's a little tricky part of it. All right? And so, of course, we have our foot soldiers. And that's really about it.
Okay.
So let me show you a quick example of a checkmate.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
All from memory. Oh, we love it.
No, it's this is like chess 101. So for example, this all right, this is a checkmate.
Okay, sweet.
All right. And so it's checkmate. As you can see, the king, if he moves here, he's still being attacked by the queen. He can't hop over his pieces, and he cannot take the queen because it's protected by the bishop. And that's checkmate.
Oh, the queen one. I love that.
The queen is the most powerful piece on the board.
But I'm the most important on the board.
Well, you know, as in life, the female takes care of the male.
Okay.
You can argue with that.
No, I don't argue that. The female can take care of the male. I don't argue with that.
No, but the king, he's the most valuable piece.
Yeah.
So if you can't lose your king. If you lose the king, you lose the game. So everyone work to make sure that the guy is okay. Isn't that how life is?
Yeah, it is. So what are some of the more efficient openings in chess? Because I know there are various. I just said I didn't know how to play chess. Anyway, I know there are different openings and these sort of things. So which ones would you say, in your experience, are the most effective or whatnot?
Yes. So you have so many openings. For example, the Queen's Gambit is an opening. So the Queen's get a game, the movie Queen's Gambit. It's actually a type of opening, and it's an opening for white. Right, it's very simple. I have to reset the board. But openings in chess, they're just a series of moves that you do at the beginning of the game to get your pieces out in a fighting or defensive position. Right? And so when you're just starting out, you really don't want to study openings because they could get really deep, and especially if you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to be wasting your time. But the Queen's Gambit, I'll show you that quickly. It's a d4, right? So say he does that, and you push that. Now, a gambit in chess is when you make a sacrifice with the intention to get an advantage. And so it's called the Queen's Gambit because, of course, you start with your queen pawn and then you offer a free pawn.
I see.
But of course, nobody really takes the free pawn. Right? But there's so many different opens. Well, there is the English, there's a Rui Lopez, there's the Sicilian, the Feds, the French, the Italian.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
maybe that's in Lucian one day.
Well, thank you so much for that chess lesson. Hopefully next time I will accept the challenge. And I will.
I want to quickly mention we have something coming up called the Queen's Gambit Challenge. It will be launched on International Women's Day. It's for females of all ages, preferably 8 and over, who would like to learn chess. It's gonna be a free course taught by grandmasters and international instructors from all around the world, and at the end of it they're going to compete in a big tournament. So we have females from Jamaica, the entire Caribbean that is going to be a part of this. So if you want to learn chess, of course I encourage everyone to follow our Facebook page at St. Lucia Chess Federation and stay tuned for further information. But I am encouraging you to take up the Queen's Gambit Challenge.
Take her.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Tristan, for coming along and teaching me and bringing us into your world. I really appreciate what you're doing. It's really amazing, and I hope you continue and get women, men, everybody engaged in the game of chess. Audience, thank you for once again coming this evening. Thank you for joining us, listening to us. I'd like to thank all our sponsors, Ministry of Youth Development and Sports, KFC St. Lucia, Event St. Lucia, and everyone who makes...
TV.
Oh, how could I... Well, DBS is a competition, but DBS TV, our sponsor as well. So thank you for making everything. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll catch you guys the next time.